For the bomber fly, we need a 2XL shank hook. Here, I'm just using a normal nymph hook. This is the Foaling Mill FM5085, or you can get a 2XL dry fly hook. For the thread, we're going to go with some Veevus 10-aught. This is in fluorescent orange. Now we can get our hook secure in our Rambler Atlas vise. We'll get our thread started about 3 eye lengths back. Go ahead and lay down a nice touching turn thread base all the way to the bend of the hook, and then back up to our tie-in point. For this fly, the post is going to be some calf tail. So you're going to want to make sure we get a nice big clump of this calf tail so that we get enough long fibers. There's a lot of short fibers in these calf tails. With our calf tail all thinned out and ready to go, we can go ahead and tie that in at least a hook shank length. Some nice securing wraps before trimming that off at an angle. Come back up, kind of gently bring all those back so we can sneak some wraps in front up here. It's okay if you trap a few fibers, we can just trim those out. End with your thread all the way at the bend of the hook. For the tail of this fly, any deer or elk hair is going to work just fine. We just need maybe 10 to 15 fibers. Now that we got this small clump of deer hair for our tail, we can measure it to about a hook shank in length and tie it in with very loose wraps at first here at the back. And then once you get past, you can get a little more thread tension. This deer hair really likes to flail, and a little bit of flail at the back of the tail is okay, but we don't want it to be going really crazy. Reach in, trim that off. You can clean up these butt sections here with nice tight wraps. Again, when you come back to the back of that tail, make sure you have some thread out of the bobbin so you can get nice loose wraps, and then come back and get your tight wraps on the hook shank. Now with our Grizzly and our brown hackle sized and ready to go, we can tie this in here at the back of the hook, giving it about a half a turn's worth of bare stem to get started. We'll wrap up to a point where we can trim out these stems. Make sure that we got a nice thread base all the way to the hook eye. end with our thread back here at the back of the hook so we can dub our body. For the body of this fly, I'm just going to use some orange dry fly dubbing. Any orange dubbing would work. So if you want to use some rabbit or squirrel dubbing, go for that for a nice buggier look. Now we can just get really thin clumps of dubbing on our thread. The thinner our almost wisps of dubbing, the better. Just start back here at our tail, get a nice tapered body. A little bit more to go in front of that calf tail wing or post. This should be extremely thin. See if that can get it done. Bring that post back. End with our thread up front where we're going to tie this fly off. Now we can wrap our hackle forward. We're going to try to keep this as straight as we can, but luckily this pattern is a bit of a messier hackled pattern, so you can get away with quite a bit with your hackle. You can space your wraps out as much as you'd like. This pattern is a very hackled pattern. I really like spacing my wraps really close. Get up to the front here. Trap that feather. Just kind of pull everything back, get some wraps around that hook eye, and then we can trim these butt sections out, or these hackle tips out. Here's where, on a lot of dry flies with this type of hackle, it might be easier to just get a half hitch on here with a half hitch tool. You can get a couple half hitches and then just hit that with some UV resin or super glue, or you can come in here, kind of try to hold everything back and sneak a whip finish in. Do both just to kind of show. The whip finish can end up trapping some hackles where that half hitch kind of pushes them out of the way as you're doing it. But if you trap some, you can just leave them because the fish don't care. Or you can come in and just trim those out. So you can pick which way you like finishing them best. But there you go. There is the bomber. This is a great high floating fly. It would be great for a dry dropper. Thanks for watching.